Let's switch. Those are from last year. They're the same thing. Yeah. Same. There you go. Yeah. Are you able to hear me, Dwayne?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who are on Zoom, my name is Patricia, and I'm going to be showing the screen. Once we get started, I'm going to move the computer. So we're going to have a word of prayer.
A lot of feedback.
Okay. So thank you everyone for coming this evening. Thank you for making this grief share happen. So again, my name is Patricia or Trish, and I'm going to be your presenter for Holiday Grief Share. So each of you who came tonight, you'll be able to have this book. It's more than awesome because there's things you could go through. You could read the whole book in one shot. It's also a journal, and for those of you online, I'll be getting you a book as well. And so right now, well, let me start with the word of prayer. Father in heaven, we come before you this evening. We just thank you for giving us this opportunity to gather together this short time and just be able to gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, especially right now during the holidays. Be with us as we watch this video and just share with one another. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. I'm gonna take this off. All right, so this time of the year, October, November, December, is a time where we think of holidays, festivities, fun, family. And for some of us, it could be a lot harder. It could be something we don't look forward to. It could be something where we're experiencing the holidays by ourselves. And it will also be challenging when we know somebody has been through something very traumatic or hurtful, and we just don't know what to say or do, especially when we're at family gatherings. So the holiday grief share is this session. I'm going to put on a video. It's just going to give you some tips, some tools, some techniques that you could utilize during the holidays. But I'd like to also say that these tools and tips can be used all the time. Okay, because I know for me, I grew up in a life of crisis and trauma and drama and a lot of death and loss and negative things, you know, and I didn't learn how to cope. I didn't learn how to deal with things the right way. I did everything the wrong way. So I learned how to do everything, you know, the way that only brought more detriment, hurt, disappointment, and physical depression to my life. But by God's grace, I was able to find this group. They found me, and I was introduced to it, which is Grief Share. It's a 16-week support group, and we have that throughout the year, and it's offered in a lot of different faith-based churches. But right now, during the holidays, Holiday Grief Share is a different session because sometimes people don't want to join. You know, a lot of us, you know, may still be dealing with denial, or we might be saying, you know, I got this. You know, grief is not something that we really are taught how to deal with. We are figuring it out as we go. So I just want to commend you guys for being here. And most of all, thank you for your support here. You know, this is an awesome class. I always teach it each year, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be here. And I hope that this will prove to be a blessing. Thank you for your patience. Also, there are some drinks, refreshments, plenty of snacks and veggies if you want to get up and have them. You're more than welcome to. They're over there, or for the most part, we'll wait till the end. Okay, so. And again, thank you everyone online for showing up and being here. We're going to have to maneuver from the screen here because we had some technical difficulties.
The first Thanksgiving.
As Christmas would approach each year, the dread would start.
It's hard to know stocking where it used to be 3 and now it's 2.
I used to say, I wish I could go to sleep before Thanksgiving, wake up January 2nd.
And so I tried to cook Thanksgiving dinner. And I was trying to table.
One of my kids said to me last Christmas, it's going to be the worst Christmas ever. I thought, so they'll get worse and worse.
Hi, I'm David, and this is my wife Nancy. Like the people you just heard from, the holidays can be difficult for us as well. We lost 2 of our children, Hope and Gabriel. So we know what it's like to feel profound sadness during the holiday season.
I remember when we sat down to take that first family photo for a Christmas card after Mom's death. It was all I could do to smile because I was intensely aware that someone was missing, and it hurt. To this day, Dave and I, along with our son Matt, still hang 5 stockings every Christmas season. And many of our ornaments have pictures of Hope and Gabriel, reminding us of our loss.
We want you to know that what you are feeling right now is normal. And even though the holidays are painful for you, they can also bring healing. It might not seem possible, but the day will come when you will be able to enjoy the holidays.
We are so glad you are here. And we believe that by the end of our time together today, you'll be able to live with a sense of hope for the future. Welcome to Grief Share, Surviving the Holidays.
Welcome to Grief Share Surviving the Holidays. Today you'll watch a video featuring reflections of people who the holidays will deal with grief. After that, you'll form a small group to talk about your experiences and concerns. To help you remember everything you'll hear in the video, we prepared a holiday survival guide. Use its note-taking sections to jot down meaningful comments while you watch the video. Each survival guide is placed filled with encouraging exercises, helpful suggestions, and wise insights to help you make it through the holidays. After this session ends, you can use it each day of the holiday season. But for now, turn to the note-taking section on page 3. We're ready to begin.
Obviously, the holidays can be an emotionally difficult time. But why are they so discouraging?
One reason is that the time from Thanksgiving to Christmas brings bittersweet memories to mind.
Well, my dad was in the hospital for Christmas. He died in January. In the chapel of this hospital, it beautifully decorated with feathers. And it was a lovely gesture, but it was so associated with my father's death. It took me like 20 years before it's never really settled in my house. It was just too much.
She always had more gifts than everybody else. She was an educator, and all of her coworkers were different gifts. And so it was just interesting to see her opening what she had. And so it goes by closing now.
My mother-in-law is really intent to cook foods that she knew that my mom made. So one of the things that happens during the holidays is like I can smell my mother's cooking.
Through college and after I graduated high school, I always came home for Christmas. And I had my own bedroom, and my mom would always have sheets pulled back and the room, the tree would be up, and the house would be decorated, and it would just feel like it was Christmas time. But that Christmas, there was no tree. My dad had brought in a tree. My room was cold.
Would hear chestnuts roasting on the fire. The first one to grab the other person's nose because we come to say Jack Frost your nose. So sneak up behind the other person just as the bird says that and grab their nose, and it would be a lot of fun. Tussle with them. And so the first time I heard that song, it was so painful because I could practically sense Jody right there coming at me.
If you have children, there's a potential for your sadness during the holidays. For practical information to help your child survive the holiday season, visit griefshare.org/holidays. There, you'll discover articles containing strategies to help your children as they deal with the many changes and challenges during the holidays.
I wish we could tell you that the holidays will be a breeze.
But no matter what you do during this season, reminders of the person you lost will still be unavoidable. Recognizing and accepting that will actually help you get through the holidays. I had to go to a store to get some food. I walked in, the parking lot was just like, I think it was like 3 days before Christmas. And there were so many people, and I saw this happiness, all this hubbub, all this noise, music, and lights, and all these signs, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, that it totally opened me, and I had this feeling of anger. I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs and say, how dare you be having my heart break?
We like to use the analogy of a mobile that hangs over the child's bed. You take one of those pieces off, the all gets out of balance. Well, especially those initial holidays out of balance. This isn't the way we usually did things, because that person normally did that.
When we accept that that's going to be part of it, when I accept that's going to be part of the territory, then I'm less likely to be shocked, less likely to be blindsided. That doesn't mean being pessimistic, fatalistic, it's just being realistic, that they're going to be features and moments that are difficult.
Instead of accepting that Christmas will be difficult, some people pretend nothing is wrong, so others will think they're doing well.
But disguising your grief will prevent you from getting the help you need.
I can remember Thanksgiving being there with my family, wanting to cry and not to mess everything up for everybody else, and holding my tears. And somehow I wish that probably I had just cried and let everybody else cry. Let's get over it and just go on.
What really helps more than anything else is to be very honest. When people ask, how are you doing? Say, I'm struggling. I'm having a difficult time. While it's important to be honest about how you're feeling, as Dr. Patricia explains, it's equally important for you to be selective about who you open up to and when you do it.
I don't think that authenticity necessarily means that we wear our hearts on our sleeves everywhere we go. I think there are times that we need to consider, is this the place? Is this the situation that is appropriate for me to, open up or emotionally break down? The workplace, for example, may not be the best place to do that. Also need to consider, can this person, handle what I might share?
In addition to avoiding or ignoring pain, many people try to numb it. But that response is an ineffective way of dealing with
There's a lot of feedback.
Once you're done with your drug of choice, be it narcotics, alcohol, sex, or even shopping, your pain will still be waiting for you. Only then will you be dealing with the pain of the holidays and the consequences of numbing your pain.
If your efforts to numb yourself are carried to the extreme, you could end up with a lot of debt, an unwanted pregnancy, or perhaps a physical injury. all topped off with a lot of guilt and shame.
To avoid painful consequences like these, you need to learn healthy ways of dealing with your hurt.
However, some of you may experience such intense pain during the holidays that you think suicide is the only way to escape. If that's how you feel, it's essential that you reach out for help right away.
There's a big difference in being okay with dying, like a lot of people who are grieving feel like I just like to die, and having a plan and a real serious intent that I'm going to do something about ending my life. If a person gets to the point where they are feeling suicidal, not just it would be okay for me to die, but I'm really intent on dying. I'm going to have a plan, I'm going to carry that out. That's irrational, that's unhealthy, that's unscriptural, that's not okay. And you need to get help immediately.
I think it's really important to have a plan for the holidays, because if not, I think the routine things that you have to do during that time, shopping, cooking, all of those things, they're overwhelming when life is good and pain-free. I mean, we all talk about the stress of the holidays. So if you're dealing with pain and loss and the emotions that are going to come up that you can't even really anticipate, you have to have a plan to get those other things done and to plan in the things that you hope are going to help you have a better holiday than you did the year before.
I'm not suggesting that we eliminate spontaneity.
CIA.
I'm just saying that we make some plans that stay flexible.
We can't emphasize this enough. Creating a holiday plan is one of the smartest steps you can take to survive the holiday season.
Here's advice on how to develop your plan.
What's helpful to a lot of people is to make a list of all the activities and events that are typically part of, for example, Christmas, office parties, Christmas cookies, decorating the outside of the house, decorating the inside of the house, how many people do you buy presents for, all that stuff. Make a list of every single thing that is associated with Christmas, and then go over each one and say, okay, do I need this for it to feel like Christmas? Or can I just let this one go? Do I really not care about it that much, really, now that my loved one is gone? But if I do feel like this is Christmas, can I do this by myself? Or do I need to ask other people to help me? Or do I need to ask somebody to do it for me? Or do I say, this is not the year to do it, but maybe I'll revisit it in another year. It's too much right now. And you can kind of rank the things that you really want to keep.
Planning helps you know what to expect during the holiday season. And knowing what to expect helps you avoid emotional ambushes.
One thing you ought to do is kind of replay in your own mind, well ahead of time, what that family tradition almost always involved, so that you are expecting these things to happen. So if your aunt always comes with a banana cream pie and she's not the one coming this year because she died, the fact that somebody else may bring a banana cream pie may really sort of trigger some emotion for you.
For some, holiday planning leads to the creation of new traditions.
One of the things that I did that I loved was having parties at my house. I would invite people for Easter and Thanksgiving and Christmas time, and it was very overwhelming the years that I had lost many people. What I decided to do was still have a party, but just change the way that I did it. Instead of me being the one who prepared the whole entire meal, what I did was make it easier on myself and ask my family members to bring things so that it wasn't so overwhelming for me.
Steve and I were a big football fans, so after he passed away, I joined a free Thanksgiving football league online. And so on Thanksgiving Day, I would fix a Thanksgiving meal for myself and watch football.
We decided that we would come together and have a celebration in honor of her. And we would all open the gifts that we had purchased for her. And as we opened the gifts, we all tried to do an imitation of her and try to react as she would when she would open the gift. And we had such a great time.
I found that making the holiday visit either just before the holiday or after the holiday made for a much better visit. From a practical standpoint, I didn't have to fight the holiday traffic. And so from the start, I was more relaxed. Once I got there, we didn't have all the circus atmosphere. I was able to actually have a conversation without all the noise in the background, and it worked much better.
I usually light a candle, and we put it in the living room, and that reminds me that his life is still burning on.
Every year, my husband would give me something special at Christmas. And so when I would wake up Christmas morning, there would be a present in my stocking. And so right after he died, 6 months after he passed, I decided to make my own self a special surprise. So I went to the jeweler that he normally would buy jewelry for me. I had them make a special ring for me that would signify what grief really felt like. And so that Christmas morning, right after he died, I went to my stocking and I told the jeweler not to show me the ring at all. And so I had wrapped it up for myself. And so that Christmas morning, I opened it up and found the ring that I had him design for me. It was up and down.
I had to pick up for a quick.
One of the new traditions that my sister and my mom developed was, instead of finding a beautiful Christmas, which was always a real high priority with my dad, they decided that was too painful. So they went on Christmas Eve and brought home a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Like they said, give me the ugliest tree on the lot. And to the point that my sister's girlfriend would come around. But if they just tried to pretend that everything was the same and just keep on doing everything, I think it would have been ashes in their mouth. Just couldn't do it.
When you're grieving, it's difficult to establish new traditions and new ways of experiencing the holidays. You don't really want to try something new during that time. In fact, you're going to probably experience a few holidays where you're wanting to do the same thing that you've done because it gives you a sense of this was the experience that I had when this person was in my life. I feel comfortable with that. And so a lot of times it can create a conflict because, again, the thing that you are accustomed to doing is also the thing that's causing you pain. And to jettison those things too quickly would probably be more painful. And so I think we've got to loosen little by little our grip on what used to be.
Some people may feel guilty about creating new traditions.
They might be afraid that new plans and activities suggest that they've forgotten about the person who died, or that they were eager to leave behind their loved one's holiday preferences.
There's a sense in which you don't want to have too much fun. You don't want to enjoy life too much. It's silly, but that's how we think sometimes.
There's a difference between moving on and moving forward. Because moving on is just that you're leaving something behind. Moving forward is that you're taking something with you. I think people get that confused. That life goes on. It sounds like a very callous thing, but life does continue. But you can continue with life, but with that love and those times that you had with that person.
Some of you may have tried planning and prioritizing your holiday activities before and found that it didn't help you. You were still miserable.
And that's okay. When it comes to surviving the holidays, You probably won't get it right the first time. Finding what works best for you may require some trial and error.
Even though we talk about making plans and setting some priorities and pacing yourself, is also to make sure you hold them very lightly. You never can anticipate everything that's going to happen, and you really can't always anticipate what your emotional response is going to be, even to that which you have planned.
It's like an experiment. That's the best way I can describe it. Because you may not feel the same way today, you may have a different mood tomorrow. When you're planning it, you may have a very good mood and motivation for planning it. But when the day comes, you may not feel that motivated. But it's a trial and error type of situation. But just give yourself the chance of trying something new, and then you will find out. And traditions are not set in stone. I don't have to do these just for the sake of doing it if I don't enjoy it. That's why traditions change.
And so I think like anything else during the grieving process, you set your mind up what might happen, you make your plans, but then you always, in your own mind, reserve the right to hold them,
Thank you.
stop them,
Perfect. Thank
change
you.
them a little bit.
It's the first Christmas after my husband passed. My family does a family reunion. And I was really worried about going to that. I thought people were going to say, how are you doing? Or, what's it like? Whatever. None of that. There's no mention of my husband's name. I mean, it was like, it almost felt like they were avoiding things.
Unfortunately, Sheila isn't alone. Many people are surprised by how unwilling their friends and family are to discuss their deceased loved ones.
But most of the time, your friends and family aren't trying to be rude. They just don't want to upset you.
The other family members are looking to us, grieving individual, for guidance. Because they don't know what to do. And so it's so important to let them know, please talk about Uncle Fred. And mention his name when you talk about it. So give them a little bit of guidance.
But you would devise these things, either a verbal plan or even a symbolic plan to say, I want to recognize the fact that she's not here. I brought this candle. I'd like to light this candle as a family in memory of my deceased husband or wife. And we'll just let that burn for the day while we're here.
During the holidays, some people will invite you to Christmas parties or other holiday events. If you're emotionally fragile, those interactions can be stressful. Here's advice to help you plan responses to those inevitable invitations.
When you get invitations, it's really difficult sometimes to evaluate, do I want to go or not? Maybe I'll just say no. Perhaps there's another option. You might want to think about saying, can you just hold my invitation lightly? I'm planning on coming, but can they change that day? Because people change several times during a day often. The day may start out well, and something happen that just throws a loop, and you're having a grief burst, and you're not in the mood to go.
It is okay to say, I'm going to give you a tentative yes. Don't commit to that party just because you want to please someone or just to make better. Just be honest and say, I'm still in the process. Good days, some not so good. I'll let you know.
If you venture out to a party or drop by to visit someone during the holidays, give thought to how you'll handle questions about how you're doing. Also, give thought to how you'll respond to prying questions.
You probably want to have a few things sort of scripted beforehand that you're going to say the same thing to everybody who they ask. Have some sort of sense of how much you want to want to share and disclose. If we don't have that, then we can sort of flounder, and that can make us feel anxious and awkward, and now we're sharing more than what we share, or we feel pressure to answer people's questions.
It's not being impolite to say, hey, I really appreciate your interest in your concern, but I just really rather not talk about it. And then you shift the subject. You change the subject by shifting the focus on them, simply by asking them a question. Hey Sam, isn't your daughter playing soccer for Summit High School? And you shift the focus by changing the topic, but it's something that they would be interested in.
Here's one more piece of advice. It's a good idea to have an exit plan or an approach to temporarily excuse yourself from holiday events and gatherings.
Few rules that I always followed for myself that worked out great is I never took a ride with anybody. I always drove myself so I could leave whenever I wanted to. That gave me a sense of security. Like I don't have to stay. If I walk in and it doesn't go well, I can out the door. And the other thing is not to have very high expectations for myself, to say, okay, I'm going to go with the goal first of just staying a half an hour. And if I make it, I can leave and go, great, we did it.
Things start to get a little bit too tough for you. Really encourage you to say to the rest of your family, excuse me, I'm going to take a break. It's really pretty difficult for me at this moment in time. Just give me an hour or two. I may come back and become part of it. But I think the whole idea of making sure yourself in out is important.
When we got to the point that one of us was at a point where they're getting ready to break down, they're not holding it together, the dam that's holding the tears back is getting bars. We would communicate that.
One of us will look at the other side, I'm done. Let's finish. Let's go.
The first Christmas, it was probably the most. When my life was even more difficult than the first Christmas. Second Christmas was a little bit easier than the first. What the third Christmas is going to be like.
It really does take time. For me, the first year was almost overwhelming, but I did get through it. The second year was worst actually.
The second Christmas.
I didn't want to decorate at all. Because my heart was still hurting. And I wanted her to be there. And I knew that she could never be there again.
And the third year, as it approached, I thought, well, certainly by this time, I should be able to just, it won't be too bad. Then after Thanksgiving, as Christmas getting closer, and I get this horrible feeling of dread, and oh my goodness, I feel like I'm getting sucked under again.
The third Christmas, I just went through it. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. I got my grandchildren over to help me decorate the trees. I changed it a little bit because my wife always had to have a real Christmas tree. I didn't like that. I don't like putting the lights on them. So I decided, well, a little bit about what I want now. So I bought me an artificial tree. I enjoy it so much.
By the fourth year, I was doing a lot better. And I could put some decorations up in the house and enjoy doing that a little bit. I couldn't do that at all before. Other people's grief may be different. Maybe that second, they're ready to put the tree, decorate everything, go caroling. But if that's not where you're at,
That's not where you're at. Okay.
I've often heard people say, the second year or the third year was, I thought the first year was going to be the hardest. And I think sometimes as they sort of unpack that, they realize that either because of timing or the circumstances, there were things that were happening that were keeping them from fully feeling those experiences and those feelings during the first year. And then in the second year, sometimes even the third year, they feel that more fully because maybe the circumstances have changed, not just because they've slowed down and they feel it, but maybe in the second or third year that the financial situation has changed and become more difficult.
First time I still can't believe it. The second time it's the reality. It's there. I am forced to face my situation.
It is normal because grief doesn't have substantial limitations.
It's gonna be okay if you don't get it. And maybe you wait till next year. Or you decide you want to do that. But don't overwhelm yourself by things that are simple to if you don't feel up to it.
People who are hurting need to find additional ways to shift their focus, to get your mind off of one of the ways you can do that almost immediately is focus on other people.
The blessing of serving other people at Christmas was a surprise to me because I've had a series of losses. A lot of times loss can make us very self-centered. When we hurt, we think about ourselves.
I make sure I contact before the holiday. And just try to do what I can. And maybe it's just a phone call.
The times that I felt so loved, and help came at just the right time. And if I can be that same gift to somebody else, what a blessing that is to me.
There's another relationship that's more important than anything we've talked about so far. It's your relationship with God. If you already have a relationship, the holidays are an opportunity to learn more about Him.
One of the best ways to do this is to talk to God about the difficulties you're facing and read the Bible to see what He has to say about your situation.
It's like we have to confront face to face and say to it, you are a pain in my life, but I can get through the pain with the Lord's help.
Because I can take refuge in God.
Just being able to talk to God about what I'm feeling helps me because I can come out and then be ready for the social scene or whatever it is. It carries me. Like after the prayer's over, I feel a lighter feeling that I'm being carried emotionally through the situation, whatever it is. I don't have to really be thinking about it because I've let it go in the prayer.
I am deeply persuaded you ultimately deal with painful realities only one way. You deal with them vertically. Believing that this pain isn't a sign that He's turned His back on me. This pain is a sign that I still live in a broken world, but God's with me. And all that just says to me that I wasn't hardwired to live this life by myself. I was created for dependency, primarily dependency upon God.
Can take Lord, can take refuge from peace from pain, and you will experience God's peace.
Remember the first years, several years, especially during the holidays around Christmas time. God and the strength that the church brought to me was my rock.
Your family, your friends and your coworkers down, and even people from your church will help you. Even times that you feel most alone, God is there.
Now, don't expect it to be automatic like pushing a button. What is important here is that you pour out your heart. And Lord, I'm going to pour out my heart to you. I'm in pain.
I'm suffering, I don't understand why this happened, I cannot give an explanation, but I know you are my lifeline.
my lifeline.
Josie's 31-year-old son Ryan died in a car accident a few nights before Thanksgiving. After struggling to make it through that initial holiday season, Josie discovered that she still had reasons to be thankful and celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas. That year was my 60th birthday. So I was so happy and excited and stuff. I started making a list of all the blessings that I had in my life. And so every night before I go to bed, I would fill in that list. And by the time that Brian died, my birthday was November 15th. He died on November 21st, 6 days later. But by the time that he died, I had about 70 items on that list. Several months went by, and then one day I opened the door and I see that list. And I sat on the bedside and I started reading the list of all the things. And I realized that I had been focusing on the wrong thing. I had been focusing on what I didn't have anymore. But I needed to change and start realizing all the blessings that I had. Every breath we take is a gift from God. Okay, we take so much for granted, like our sight, our hearing, the fact that we are able to move and talk, that we have a clear mind. Obviously grateful for my son, grateful for my husband, grateful for my job. So many things that we take so much for granted.
Josie experienced God's comfort as she reminded herself of the blessings she still had, despite her son's tragic death.
Even if you can't think of one earthly possession or relationship to be thankful for, you can always be thankful for what Christmas reminds us of.
When we celebrate Christmas, we are not just celebrating Christ's birth or his coming into the world, but we're celebrating the reason that he came and the result. If there weren't pain, suffering, sin, destruction, discouragement, and death, there would be no need for Christmas. This holiday is about suffering. This holiday is about pain. Now, what we've done, and it's right to do that, we've made this a holiday of celebration because we celebrate the coming of the Messiah. But in so doing, we forget why he came. He came to end suffering. He came to end death. He came to end sin and brokenness and pain and destruction and discouragement. And so this is the sufferer's holiday. Rather than the holiday be avoided, I ought to run toward Christmas.
When Jesus came to earth as a little baby, and we celebrated Christmas. Really what it was saying was God, the battle is on. The things that have messed up life for everyone on earth. The sin, the evil, the suffering, the loss, all the things that have just infested and plagued every person on earth. God was saying, I am here to do something about it.
What Christmas tells me is there's hope for people like me that are going through what I'm going through. Christmas guarantees that God has, will, and will continue to address what I'm going through.
What an encouraging truth. Christmas is the sufferer's holiday. So while you may not want to put up a tree, go shopping, or attend parties, we're simply mindful that we can rest in God's awareness of our pain and His plan to end all suffering. But there's more to this plan than simply putting an end to grief and sorrow. The Bible tells us that Jesus came to save us from suffering the consequences of our sin, our bad thoughts, disobedience, and even a tendency to love your things too much. In fact, that's why God chose His name Jesus. Now, let's say someone has a Christmas gift and leaves it at a mutual friend's house for you to pick up. Even though the gift is yours, you won't have it, won't be able to use it, or benefit from it until you pick it up and claim it as your own. And the same thing is true when it comes to the forgiveness God offers you. It's yours. You simply have to receive it by faith. To receive it by faith means you must believe and completely trust that Jesus lived and then died on the cross to pay the penalty for your sin. It also means that you believe that He rose from the dead and that He has the authority to direct your life. Do you believe those things are true? Then God's forgiveness is yours. Let's take a moment to pray. Thanking God for His wonderful gift. Just bow your head and repeat this short prayer silently to yourself. God, thank you for caring about me. And thank you for sending Jesus to die on the cross for my sin. I believe Christ died for me, that He rose from the grave, and that He has the authority to direct my life. Please comfort me as I grieve, and show me how to be more like you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. To learn more about what it means to receive the gift of forgiveness, talk with your group leader or a pastor of the church hosting Surviving the Holidays event. They'll be glad to answer any question you have or tell you what to do next if you've just received God's gift of forgiveness for the first time.
Earlier in this program, we explained that others can help you heal from your grief. And hopefully in some small way, you've experienced that through the information presented in this video.
We want to give you the opportunity to experience how helpful it is to interact with others about your loss. In a few minutes, you'll participate in a group discussion about the information you've just seen and how it applies to your life. You'll probably identify with and learn from the other people who are a part of this group.
Please relax. There's no requirement for you to talk if you don't want to. You won't be put on the spot. But hearing how others are dealing with their grief can help you.
And if you are able to share a bit about what you're experiencing, you'll find that others in the group will understand and relate, and that they want to encourage you.
What we've shared today is designed to help you handle the holidays. But everyone knows that grief isn't a seasonal issue. When the holidays end, you'll still be faced with the reality of your loss.
So before we go and you break into groups, we want to tell you about Grief Share.
Grief Share is a support group ministry that helps people heal from the pain of grief. The Grief Share video seminars, workbook exercises, and small group discussions give participants encouragement, useful advice, and hope. Grief Share is the ideal setting for you to find comfort and make sense of your suffering.
Grief Share videos are excellent.
The video strengthened me.
It's a freeing kind of thing to be able to talk about your loss.
My workbook helped me to unravel the feelings I was going through.
If you benefited from today's Surviving the Holidays session, strongly consider finding and joining a grief share group. And remember, no matter how long ago you lost your loved one, you're always welcome at Grief Share.
There was such a void until I got into Grief Share. I never really healed down deep until I came to Grief Share. Grief Share brought me out of my sadness.
After the death of a loved one, you might believe you'll never smile again, but there is hope. Continue your journey from mourning to joy at Grief Share.
We hope you decide to give Grief Share a try. Your host will tell you more about this amazing program.
Thanks again for joining us today. We trust you've learned strategies that will help you survive and perhaps even find a little joy in the coming holiday season. And now, may God bless you, your family, and your future.
All right, so how did you guys enjoy that video? A lot of good tips. So does anybody want to share on anything that was in that video that might be helpful, or maybe something that you might be going through?
Nobody was talking about the holidays, like doing anything. I want to do that. I was going to that. Now I want to have a Thanksgiving this year.
Okay.
I don't feel it.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, that's real. And I think at the end of the day, being able to acknowledge that within your own self and saying, hey, you know what, not this year, it's okay. Because there's no right or wrong way to do this. And I think this is why I really appreciate Grief Share, at least this session, especially right now during the holidays, because you might resort to that little book, you know, have a plan. You know me, emergency preparedness, like the before, the during, and the after. You know, being able to write things down on, you know, you don't have the right things to say. Because I think at the end of the day, we as people tend to shy away, isolate. You know, I know for myself going through silence, modes of silence, or periods of silence, whether it be solid silence, a scornful silence, a sorrowful silence. The Bible talks about the dumb silence, being able to know where we're at. And sometimes it's hard. And when we do show up to places, if somebody doesn't say the right thing and we become defensive, you know, or I know for myself, it was like, you don't get it. Like, you just don't get it, you know, and I would become angry, you know, so just being able to know that it's unique for all of us. It's going to be different, but knowing that where you're at is where you're supposed to be. And God is going to pull us through. And it's hard to see that. It's hard to see the unseen, especially when things physiologically affect us. I know from a little girl, you know, I had the death of my grandmother. Fast forwarding as an adult, my brother was murdered. And then my godfather, and then my grandfather, and then my mother. And the females in my life were murdered, you know, and who would have been those close sisters to me. But God seems to fill in the gaps, you know, and it may not always be when I want it or when we want it, but just being able to slowly kind of just embrace it. You know, so in this book, I really do hope that you utilize it and have a plan of action and be okay with the holidays. Like, when is it? This week? Next week? I lose track of holidays. I'm going to sit with my grandmother because the one thing we had in common is my mother. There will be nobody else there, you know, and being able to be okay with that. I can't be my mother who was festive and she had everything, all my family who's in prison or in jail or they've died. It is what it is, you know, but God will, you know, I have to embrace that this is what I'm going to do this year, you know, know, and I'm showing up for her. And I showed up here today. And, you know, one of the things I with my classes is we never know what's going to happen, especially with technology. But today I thought, you know, if this doesn't come up on the screen, we're here together. You know, we've been able to pray, see each other face to face, know that, hey, we're team in this together tonight. You know, so I just want to encourage you guys to just be encouraged in the Lord. Be okay with the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows. And we don't have to do it like everybody else. And they're not going to always say the right things. You know, remember Job. It says, though the Lord slay me, he will continue to take me up, right? And also, Job had miserable comforters. Sometimes those people that we really love and care about aren't going to say the things that we would hope or want. So anybody else want to share? All right, so I know it's been late in the day. Did you want to say something else? Oh, no, I thought you were putting your.
Also like the fire light and candle. That's from idea candle for husband. The Civic Square of Lawrence when they lit it, he was there.
Yeah, so tonight if we can, or this week, make it a point to get some candles. You know, and I know I do that a lot. You know, I just like having candles. It gives me a sense of feeling soothed, a peace, a calm. And sometimes it's just me, myself, and I, you know. And I do a lot of personal growth, a lot of reflection, and a lot of crying. You know, and I'll be, you know, I'm not on 10 and 2 today, you know, I'm wobbly, you know, but sometimes I'm like, that's okay. It's okay for me to be there at that time, because at the end of the day, God will providentially position us where we need to be. So if nobody else has any comments, I just want to say, Pastor, thank you so much. And I also want to say thank you to those who showed up online, and I will get this right with the computer. So,
There's a couple of things, you know, by watching the video and listening, it helped me, even though I had life, all of us have lost, but we also have 3, 4 different things. I remember I was a big deal in my family, and my parents got divorced. And we stopped doing it a certain kind of way, and so my dad was a big part of that. And then he dies later on, but I know now why Christmas doesn't feel right. You know, I always was like, why? I don't like decorating. I don't like doing any of that kind of stuff. And he reminded me of that, like, oh, that's what I've been doing. But, you know, the loss of this family and us doing things together, and you know, and the things we did with Thanksgiving with my grandmother and my grandfather, and they're no longer around anymore, you know, and so that helped me. Also, the one thing that suggestion they made about gift, you know, that they buy something that, you know, for a gift and that the person might like, and then respond in a way they would. You know, I could see that in my mind, you know, working out, you know, because there's the conversation that I remember missing with my father, my grandfather, and my grandmother. You know, that's meaningful, at least for me.
yes. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yes, and remember, there's a lot of times people are not only dealing with death. It could be the loss of a job, a title, a career, a home, a marriage, you know, a spouse. It could be a loss of identity, you know, or maybe someone in our family who has chosen to change, you know, a lot of things in their life. And we've got to go through it. And then keep in mind suicide. Right now is that time. You know, people will come to their lows, and being able to utilize these tools, you can help another. So I know this has kind of been a heavy session. So tomorrow, I hope and pray you self-care times 10 and take a break. And thank you so much for being here again. And please take some snacks and juices for the kids and for lunch, even if there's plenty there. And if somebody could I was gonna shut us down with some prayer. Can you have a prayer for us to close out? All right, here. And we had a session on grief with the kids. I've never seen so many hands up, just engaging. It was marvelous. I was like, wow.
Yeah, for Lily.
Thank you for everything, Lord. You're telling me to and no harm, and really is a strong word, Lord. Covering everyone that is going through it, knowledge them, encourage them, Father, give them the strength, the knowledge and everything. Amen.
Amen. And I'll leave you with the scripture of Psalm 46. Pastor went over it today.
And thank you
for showing up tonight on the class.
and have a
And
good
have a good night.